ladies who ask me retroactively if I have a recording. So now I do. Okay, so I wanted to do this shiur about Chanukah because Chanukah is coming close, even though I'm going to have also next week's shiur with you because Moa Tracy is, they're going on vacation for a week. So I will be filling in and I will give the shiur next week as well. And I will probably do it on Chanukah as well. I still wanted to talk about Chanukah because I think that there's so much to talk about. So I'm taking advantage of the time that I have. And I wanted to start with a question. Rambam says that the mitzvah of lighting the Chanukiah candles, of lighting candles on Chanukah, he says that it's a wonderful mitzvah that is very much loved by Hashem. And it actually says in the halacha that if you don't have money to get a Chanukiah or to get the oil or whatever to light the candles, what you should do is you should sell your clothes even. The most important thing in the world is to light candles. And if you need to, you should sell your clothes. And it's something that is very, very interesting to say. First of all, there aren't so many mitzvot they would tell you to sell your own clothes to do. And also, how can you say that this mitzvah is very liked by Hashem and what do other mitzvot are not liked by Hashem? Hashem likes all mitzvot. We're told, which means Hashem gave us all of our holidays with love. They're all gifts from Hashem and he loves them all. So how can you say that one mitzvah is liked by Hashem, especially liked? We can't appreciate mitzvot and say these are better than others. And this is what the Rambam says. And then Admor Chernovil, he says that what's special about the mitzvah of lighting candles on Chanukah is that the entire point of the holiday is getting light, getting spiritual light to those who are far away from Hashem. And he says, when we light the Chanukiah, we're told to light the Chanukiah somewhere very low. We're supposed to light the Chanukiah outside, and we're supposed to light the Chanukiah on a very, somewhere very low, under 10 tefachim. What is a tefach? This is a tefach. That's basically, that's the size of the biblical measurement, tefach. And if you put them one on top of the other, 10 of these, that's 10 tefachim. And the Chanukiah should be lower than that. If we do 10 tefachim from the ground, that's where the Chanukiah should be placed. We're talking about less than a meter. It's very low. So why do we need to put the Chanukiah so low? And we're told in the Talmud that the Shekhinah, that Hashem's presence, it doesn't go that low, which means Hashem's presence won't go to where Hashem's presence is everywhere. Hashem created the world, he's everywhere. But if we're talking about Hashem's presence in the like Kedusha, like holiness, like the way it is in Bet HaMikdash or in holy places, so we can bring the Shekhinah, we can bring Hashem's presence to be in places. We can bring Hashem's presence to our homes. We can bring Hashem's presence to a Bet Knesset or a Bet Midrash. They say basically, just so you will know, as a rule, Hashem's presence doesn't go under 10 tefachim, which means everything that is too close to the ground, things that are low, Hashem, the presence is higher than there. And the only exception is on Chanukah. On Chanukah, Hashem's presence goes very, very down, very low, closer to the ground. And that is why the light of the Chanukiah needs to go lower to show how Hashem's presence lights also the darker places, also the lower places. Lights also for people who are in dark places and in lower places. And Hashem is saying that on Chanukah, I want to bring close to me all those who are far, far, far away. And another example of that is we have the halacha that says that there are certain oils we can use or a certain wick that we use on Shabbat to light the Shabbat candles. Some are allowed and some are not allowed. And there's a whole discussion, what is allowed, what is not allowed. We say part of it in davening in shul on Friday night. We say what are the oils that are allowed. It depends what version of the tefillah you say, but some on which one says it? The Ashkenazi prayer. Yeah, it says what kind of oils you're allowed to use to light Shabbat candles and what kind of wicks. you're allowed to use. And the halacha says that all the oils and the wicks that are not allowed to be used on Shabbat to light the Shabbat candle with, it is allowed to use these oils and those wicks to light the Chanukah candles. Why? Because we're supposed to learn from it. That's what the Rabbi of Chanukah explains. He says we're supposed to learn from it that even the souls and the people who are far, far away, and maybe they're not the greatest tzaddikim, and maybe they don't get to feel the light of the Shabbat. They don't get to feel the holiness of the Shabbat every single Shabbat. The light of Chanukah goes to those souls, and all the wicks are allowed to be used, and all the oils are kosher to light the Chanukah candle, because all Jews are kosher. And the purpose of that is using the light of Chanukah to enlighten the person's soul and the person himself, to bring him to the light of Shabbat. So we're using the light of Chanukah to bring him to a higher spiritual level, to make it more approachable for him, make it more accessible for him to approach the light of the Shabbat. Another thing we know about the Shabbat candle is that we light the Chanukah outside. We're not supposed to light the Chanukah inside. We're supposed to light the Chanukah outside your front door, somewhere low, under 10 tefachim, as we said. And I'm just going to say, just as a note, that if you put it outside your door, at a place that is lower than 10 tefachim, and other people can't see it this way, then it's not good, because the Chanukah needs to be seen. And that's the most important thing. So even if you have to place it inside your house somewhere high because it's next to a window and then people can see it from the outside, that's better. But originally, we're supposed to place the Chanukah outside the house, somewhere low. And why? He also says that this is another example to show us that the Chanukah is accessible for people who are outside, because our homes are it's the holiest place. Our homes are sanctuary. That's where we daven, and that's where we have the mezuzot to protect us. And our homes are a place of safety and of Hashem's presence. It's supposed to be a place of holiness. And he says there are people who are outside. There are people who can't approach this connection to Hashem all year long. And for these people, we have Chanukah. And that is also why, according to Hillel's opinion, that was eventually decided to be the halacha for everyone, we light the candles. On the first night, we light only one candle. On the second night, we light two. And then we go on, every night we add a candle. And every night we make the light greater and bigger. And we make it burn brighter and brighter. And that's also what happens to every Jewish soul. On the first night, we get a certain amount of spiritual light. And then on the second night, it grows bigger and bigger and bigger. And every night, we grow higher and higher. And the whole process is supposed to bring us from a lower place, wherever it is that we are placed, and bring us to a higher spiritual level, higher and higher and higher, to make it more approachable for us to be close to Hashem. And he tells a story. He tells a story about a king. Obviously, all the Jewish stories start with a king and his son. So again, we have a king, and he has a son. And the king's son decided to leave the castle, to leave the palace, and to go wander the world. And he went to bad places, and then eventually he found himself a place that was close to the palace, but not inside the palace. It was somewhere outside, and he didn't want to come close. And his father, the king, made a deal with him. He said, once a week, you need to come and learn with me. Once a week, we have some quality time, just me and you. You come for an hour. And that's what they did. But then he noticed that his son stopped coming for these weekly meetings that he scheduled with him. So he said, okay, so every few times a year, even though I'm the king, I'm going to take off my crown and I'm going to dress up as a simple man and I'm going to go to him. And wherever it is that wherever he is, whoever he's playing with, whoever he chooses to spend his time with, I'm going to be with him as a simple man. And this story comes to tell us, this is, we're supposed to learn from it about the connection between us and Hashem and Chanukah. Of course, Hashem is the king and we're the son or the daughter. And the son decided to leave the castle and go hang out with people who are not such good influence. And so the king scheduled weekly appointments with him to be close to him. And this is what Hashem did with us. On Shabbat, every week we have Shabbat. And on Shabbat, we're told that Hashem brings us to a higher level, a higher spiritual level. He brings us so high that we're told that if we would have known, if we could have felt just how high we are and how much light Hashem spreads on us every Shabbat, our souls would have separated from our bodies and went to heaven, because we couldn't have been able to process or to endure all the light that Hashem is giving us. That this light is so high, sometimes we're not able to feel it because we don't have the vessels to contain this light. So for these souls who don't get to feel the light of Shabbat every week, Hashem says, you know what, I'm leaving my castle. I'm not going to wait for you to get to me. I'm going to you, wherever it is that you are. I'm going to bring to you the light that you can endure, that you can contain. And with this light, I'm going to draw you closer to me, closer and closer to me, until you will be able to contain and to endure the light of Shabbat. And that is why the Chanukah is such a beautiful mitzvah and why it's so loved by Hashem. Because you would think that Hashem loves the tzaddikim. And it's true, Hashem loves tzaddikim, but we're told that every mitzvah that a person does and he's far away from Hashem, it's much more appreciated by Hashem by a mitzvah that a tzaddik does. Why? It sounds weird, because a tzaddik is always close to Hashem. So he will do all the mitzvot. And it's not something exceptional for him. He does all the mitzvot. He's such a tzaddik. But when someone who's far away from Hashem does a mitzvah, that's something new. And that's something exciting. And something to be proud of. And it's something to cherish. Because for this soul, for this person, it's so hard to do mitzvot. So every single mitzvah counts so much. And on Shabbat, it shows us just how much Hashem loves us, just how much Hashem loves every single Jew, every single soul, not only the tzaddikim, the people who daven all day long and only do mitzvot, also the people who are far, far, far away. Hashem loves them so much, and he loves this mitzvah, the mitzvah of Chanukah, so, so much, because this mitzvah brings to him those who are far away. And there's something very interesting about Chanukah, because Chanukah was a great miracle, right? We had Hashem did this amazing victory that no one expected, the Jews against the Greeks, and the Greeks were so much stronger, and they had horses, and they had elephants, and they had the swords, and they had everything. And the Jews didn't have anything. They were hiding in caves, and no one expected them to win, but they just decided to devote themselves and even give their lives just not to accept it, not to let the Greeks just take over the temple and take over the entire land. So what they did was great, but the fact that they won, that was the greatest miracle. And we have another miracle of how they couldn't find, and Hashem made the miracle of them finding eventually the pure jug of olive oil that they can use to light the menorah. So that's an amazing miracle, but we know it because it says so in the Talmud. But we don't have a scroll for that. There are scrolls for different miracles that we had. We have Megillat Esther. We have the scroll of Esther for Purim to tell the story of Purim. But why don't we have a scroll for Chanukah? Chanukah took place after Purim. But still, they were still able to write scrolls, but they didn't. They didn't write anything about Chanukah. And in fact, it actually says that it's forbidden to write a scroll for Chanukah. Why? Why is it forbidden to write the story of Chanukah? And so they teach us that the miracle, every miracle that we had in the past, we're supposed to learn from it that it might happen again. That Hashem, the way he saved us from the Egyptians, he will save us forever. In the same way he saved us from Haman, he will save us forever because we're the chosen people. And all we need to do is to make tshuva for our sins, and Hashem will immediately redeem us. This is what we know. But the miracle of Chanukah went against all laws. It went against the laws of nature, and it went also against the laws of Judaism. Went against the laws of the Torah. Why? Because we're told that if we do something bad, Hashem will punish us. And the purpose of the punishment is to bring us right to the right path. And then we're supposed to make tshuva. And if we do tshuva, then Hashem will redeem us and save us and give us this great salvation. And this is what we had. That's the beginning of the story of Chanukah. The Jews decided to become mityavnim, which means they didn't want to be Jews anymore. They started dressing up like Greeks, and they started acting like Greeks and behaving like them, and they started abandoning all the mitzvot. So they sinned. And then Hashem gave them the punishment. He gave them Antiochus, who came and he took over the temple, and he put idols in the temple, and he gave them terrible orders what they're allowed to do and they're not allowed to do. He canceled mitzvot that they were forbidden to perform, and he gave them terrible punishments. And okay, so this matches the story we always have. They sinned, they were punished, and then they're supposed to do tshuva, and then Hashem will save them. But they didn't do tshuva. They didn't change their ways, and still Hashem saved them. And that is why it's forbidden to write the miracle of Chanukah, because what happened there was against the rules. And it wasn't something that we're not supposed to be promised that will happen again. We are promised that if we do tshuva, Hashem will save us. But here Hashem says, you know what? I love you so much. You can do the most horrible things. You can still not do tshuva, and I will save you because I love you so much, because you are my people. And that is it. And the connection between me and you is something that cannot be broken, and you cannot be eliminated as a nation, even after the horrible Holocaust. That is something that we can't, there are no words for that. And we won't be able to understand exactly why and what until Mashiach comes, I guess. But still, we were not eliminated. Against all odds, we're still here standing, raising our children, B'ezrat Hashem, our grandchildren, and we're still here. So as a nation, we can never be erased. But this went against all the rules, because we're supposed to do tshuva, and we didn't. And still Hashem saved us just because he loves us so much. And this actually happens every year, again and again and again. I said it a few times already, that all the holidays, all the holidays that we're celebrating, they come to tell us there was a miracle that Hashem did for us, and it repeats itself every year. The same kind of spiritual light that Hashem spread on us during that time repeats itself every year. That is why we had great miracles, amazing miracles that we don't celebrate, like Shemesh Begivon Dom. After Yoshua, they got into the land of Israel and they fought against the Emori, if I'm not wrong, and they wanted to win the battle, and the sun was about to set, and they knew that even though they're winning, the Emorim are going to run away, and then they will have to get into this war again and again and again, and they wanted to finish this war. So Yoshua dove into Hashem and he told him, Shemesh begivon dom v'yarech be'emek Ayalon. He said, this, what we're seeing right now, when we have the Shemesh, when we have the sun over Givon, Dom, which means it's over Givon, make it stay this way. V'yarech be'emek Ayalon. We see the moon over the valley of Ayalon, make it stay this way until we finish the fight. And Hashem left this way for 3 hours until they finished the fight, and then the sun set. So basically what happened here, Hashem stopped the rotation of Earth around the sun. That is the greatest miracle that Hashem ever did to us, I think, I'm pretty sure. And we don't celebrate it at all because it happened once and it doesn't happen again every year. But all the holidays that we do celebrate, these are things that happened once, but every year they happen again. We don't see it exactly. We don't see Greeks and Jews fighting against each other, but the same light, the same spiritual light that Hashem gave us, and Hashem's presence that was with us, and these spiritual qualities that were at the time, we still have them today, and we should take advantage of them. And during that time, when Hashem did such a great miracle, saving us, even though we did not deserve it, we did not do tshuva, basically, just because He loved us so much, and we didn't deserve it at all. So this is exactly what's happening this year again, every year again, and it's coming now in 2 weeks, and it's very, very exciting that it shows us this miracle, just how much Hashem loves us, and just how much we have the rules, that Hashem will go over the rules for us. And also, on Chanukah, we have the Greeks, and the Greeks, one of their declarations, one of the things that they told the Jewish nation is that we have to write on the horn of the cow. We need to write "En lachem chelek be'elokei Yisrael," which means we don't have a share, we don't have a part when it comes to Hashem, when it comes to the King of the Jews, when it comes to God, we don't have a share there. And what does it mean? Why would we write it? And why would we write it on the horn of the cow? Who cares about the horn of the cow? So the horn of the cow, that's something very interesting that I only learned like a few years ago. That was back then, that's what they used for bottles, for babies. Used to cut the horn of the cow and also cut the edge and clean the inside, I hope, and put milk inside. And this is how they used to feed the little babies. And on the horn of the cow, the Greeks told them to write that they don't have a share when it comes to Hashem. And that was their thing, because it says that they knew that they wouldn't be able to beat us. They won't be able to win over us unless they can disconnect us from Hashem. And that is why all the things that they forbid us from doing, all these things were things that represent the connection that we have with Hashem. And by stopping them, they try to stop the connection between us and Hashem. So we have this from the very, very young age of little babies, teaching them that they don't have a share, that there doesn't have to do with them, Hashem, that there's no connection between them and Hashem. That's what they wanted to say, and that's what they tried to do. And against it, we have, this was a situation that the Greeks tried to disconnect us from Hashem, but on the other hand, we have Hashem surrounding us with His love and bringing us closer to Him against all odds, against all rules. Hashem said, "You are mine." We have a connection, and there's nothing that can disconnect us from each other. So the Greeks tried to block us away from Hashem. How did they do it? And why did they do it? They did it because they knew that when there is a Jew that feels Hashem close to him, so he won't be broken. You can't break a Jew that is close to Hashem, and they will never surrender. So they decided to break the connection between them and Hashem. So what are the things that they told us to, what are the things that they tried to do to us? So first of all, we said that there were 3 mitzvot that they said that we shouldn't, that we're not allowed to perform. The first one was Chodesh. What does it mean? The Jews used to say when the month begins. Every year, the Jewish year is different than the secular or the Christian year. Why? Because the Christian year repeats itself exactly the same every year. And every month has exactly the same number of days every year. In Judaism or the Jewish year, it doesn't go this way. Every year it changes a little because we go according to the moon. So there are months who could have 29 days, and the year afterwards it would have 28 days. So every year it changes a little bit. And how do we know when does the new month begin? They used to go outside and look at the moon, and when they saw that the moon is full, or when they saw that the moon reappeared, they went to the Beit Din and they told them, the moon reappeared, the month begins again. And then they declared, they started lighting fires, and when a village far away saw that they lit a fire, so they started spreading the fires so they will all know that the new month was declared. So this was one mitzvah, declaring the new month. Another mitzvah was milah, which means circumcision, doing a brit for a newborn baby. And the third mitzvah was Shabbat. They were not allowed to keep Shabbat. So these are strange mitzvot. Why do they care if we declare a new month? Like, that's the most random mitzvah in the world. Why that? And then we have Shabbat. Why do you care if we stay home on Shabbat and we eat our chunt? Why do you care? From all the different mitzvot you could have chosen, why those three? So the Admor Chernovil explains. He says, Chodesh, it comes to show faith. Why? Because when you go according to the sun, which is the Christian year, it's something that is stable. It repeats itself every year. Or every day, there is no difference. So every year it repeats itself with no difference. But the moon is something that changes. It reappears, it disappears. You don't know exactly when it's going to be, and it changes. Every time it changes a little. When you look out to the sky and you're looking for it and you're saying, where's the moon? Where's the moon? Am I going to find the moon? You're showing faith. It's like looking for Hashem. I know that Hashem will appear himself. I know that Hashem is there. Sometimes I have to look for him, but he's there. And I know that eventually he will appear. So that symbolizes the power of faith. And also we're told that the same way that the sun, it shows clarity. When you can worship Hashem with two ways. You can have clarity when you know that Hashem is the king. You have no doubt. And that is the way it was when they had Bet HaMikdash. They all had prophecy. They all were prophets. And they knew that Hashem exists. It was like the sun. They had clear knowledge. They had no doubt. But on the other hand, we have the moon. And the moon brings us light at a time of darkness. And it doesn't quite bring us the same amount of light like the sun. It's not something that shines and the entire world is lit up with the light. It's not this way. And this world, the way we have it now, it's more like the moon. It's like a dark world. You don't see everything so clear. And the light that the moon gives, it's sometimes not so clear. Sometimes you have to look for it. And that represents the power of faith. This is faith. Faith is worshiping Hashem, also when it's dark, and also when it's sometimes a little hard to see. So this is what they wanted to cancel. The moon, or declaring the month according to the moon, represents faith. This is what we want to cancel. Another thing they wanted to cancel is circumcision, which is when you make a covenant with Hashem in your flesh. And they said, no more covenant, no more connection to Hashem, spiritual and physical. So they canceled that. And the third mitzvah they wanted to cancel is Shabbat. And on Shabbat, we know that we're said, Ot hi leolam, which means the Shabbat, the connection, the Shabbat makes such a connection to Hashem that will forever withstand any challenge that we will face. Shabbat, it brings us, when we keep Shabbat, we're saying, we know that Hashem created the world in 6 days, and we know that on the seventh day, he rested, and so we rest. So on Shabbat, we declare our faith. On Shabbat, we say, we are taking some time out from this world, and on this time, on that day, it's just us and Hashem. So the whole point of Shabbat is showing our faith, is declaring our faith, and taking the time to have this connection to Hashem. And this is exactly what they wanted to cancel. And you can also ask, why did they unpure the oil? Like, why do you care? You conquer the temple. You have a war with the Jewish people. Why would you go seek every single bottle of olive oil and break it and shatter all the jugs? Why? Why do you care about the oil? But they knew that we're using the oil to light the menorah. And the menorah spreads light. And with this light, it brings us clarity. The light of the menorah, we're told, it gave the Jews clarity of mind, opened their spiritual eyes to see Hashem, even in this dark world, even when there are challenges, and even when we have doubts. It brings us clarity, it clears our mind from all the doubts, and let us see. It lets us see the connection we have to Hashem, even if sometimes we don't feel it. And that is exactly what they wanted to stop. They wanted to block our eyes. They wanted to put darkness in our world. and they couldn't. And this is what we celebrate on Chanukah. We're celebrating the light. We're celebrating the connection we have to Hashem and how nothing will cloud our eyes and how we have this light. And even if we don't have Beit HaMikdash now and we don't have the menorah, you know what? We have the Chanukah. And in the Chanukah, we light and it opens our eyes. And it opens our spiritual eyes and it clears our mind from all the doubts. And it brings even the people who are farthest away from Hashem, brings them closer to Hashem. So that is why it's such a special mitzvah, why it's so loved by Hashem, and why we should cherish, like every mitzvah, we should take the time when we light the Chanukah. It's supposed to be lit minimum for 30 minutes. So take these 30 minutes. Anyways, you're not allowed to do anything during those. Women are not allowed to do anything while the candles are burning. Why? It's a good question. We're going to learn about it maybe next week. B'ezrat Hashem. And so take this time. Anyways, you're not allowed to do anything. Sit down, look at the candles, and let the light spread into your soul. And thank you for joining me for another shiur. Hoping you will be here again next week. And it's always a pleasure to see you, even through the screen. If you want to say anything, I'm here. You can open your mic. And
thank you, Tagel.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good evening and B'ezrat Hashem. I'm hoping to see you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.